Well, let's speak to our editor-at-large, Ahmed Al-Burai, who joins us for more. So just give us the wider context here, Ahmed. What is the significance of the regime taking control of eastern Ghouta?
Well, surely, as a matter of fact, it has a significant, a very important, significant strategy for the Assad regime by reinstating itself as the legitimate governor of Syria, taking this enclave very close to the capital city. Militarily, it is very important lesson to the rebel groups that the strategy that you're following is not effective. Holding the land is not the right strategy to follow, and the rebel groups that are still in the last stronghold in Idlib province are going to face the same scenario that the eastern Ghouta is facing. It's going to have very, difficult scenario like the people are facing now in eastern Ghouta. It's going to have a siege and ending up with a complete, full offensive against the rebels there. So politically, it's very close to the capital, and that's very important to the regime to reinstate itself in the international arena as the one who is defeating terrorists on the ground. But on the humanitarian side, still the people on the ground are suffering. It is a big strategy for the people on the ground, still suffering from everything. They're displaced, they don't know where to go. And whether the Assad regime is achieving this major breakthrough on the ground, still he doesn't have the trust of the people to stay their own governor.
So what does this mean overall for the conflict and the ongoing war in Syria?
It means that the regime is regaining, more momentum on the ground. He does have the leverage. He does have the upper hand in the region. But still, why did the regime, that is the big question everybody should be asking, use the chemical weapon while he has the upper hand in eastern Ghouta? And it was almost the deal, the agreement between the rebels and the Russians was almost done. They agreed that the military police of Russia is going to be allowed into the city. The rebels groups are going to be allowed to lay down their weapons and leave the eastern Ghouta with their family. Now that happened. We have the chemical attack, suspecting the regime has done it. And now we do have this kind of rhetoric coming out from the West, whether from France, United Kingdom, or in Washington, that an imminent strike, though it's not so clear so far, as the tweets of President Trump is, very ambiguous. He's trying to be unpredicted, as he always says that the operation might not be imminent. Tomahawk missiles could be used. So it is very complicated to say that we are on the verge of any solution. It seems that we're more into more tumultuous scenarios in the coming few days.
So do we know where the rebels are now and what happens next?
We do know that those who were allowed to leave the eastern Ghouta, they moved to Idlib, the last stronghold on the northwest of Syria. That is the province that's still in the hand of the rebels. Others were allowed to move to the Euphrates Shield region that is controlled by the FSA, the group that is backed by Turkey, while others are still inside the eastern Ghouta, as they were promised by the Russians that they're not going to be forced to serve in the military, the regime military service. So the problem is you're still having all the rebels in one enclave, and that's the Idlib. And as far as they're still there, there is not going to be any political solution, because there's still not a very monolithic groups in there. You have the HTS, you have Jaish al-Islam, you have the Ahrar al-Sham. All of them, they're not on the same page. And that will lead to more conflict, intra-conflict between these rebel groups. And at the end of the day, the regime will be forced to intervene militarily if the scenario of the pending war of the West is not happening. Then the regime is going to retake it again, and we're going to have another Aleppo and Ghouta scenario in Idlib.
Ahmed, thank you. Ahmed Al-Burai speaking to us from our studio in Istanbul there.